Good day, everyone. My name is Tori Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs here at the College of Education. We're so happy to have those of you who have joined us during your busy and hot summer if you're in Illinois or in the Midwest at least. We're going to be talking about the Trauma-Informed Practice and Pedagogy Masters of Education program. We have staff and faculty who teach in the program here with us and some folks from online programs with us here today. So as we get on into things, just want to give everybody a heads up. You're muted. Please keep your mic muted. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat as we are going throughout the presentation. We also should have time to go back and get anything if you have questions about something that was covered earlier. Also, just as a reminder that this is recorded. And those of you that are watching this recording back later, maybe you weren't able to join us, or maybe you're watching this online, you can email us. We'll have email throughout the presentation. Also, the session was probably emailed to you. Also, you can just respond to that same email, but that will be there. So why don't we get into things? So those of you who are here, please feel free to introduce yourselves. Let us know why you are interested in this program. We are excited to have you here today. You will learn about the eligibility, structure, admissions, and career paths. If you have questions about any of our other programs that we're not covering us today, you can reach us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. And we are happy to connect you with folks about that program, answer any of those questions. Also, if you have questions about this program that you don't want to ask or weren't able to ask because you're watching this back later, that's the same email address to reach us at, and we will respond to you as soon as we can. With that, I just want to do a brief introduction of some education program staff here in online programs that you might be interacting with as you go throughout the program. Gina Poff is our online academic and student services coordinator. There's myself. Brianna Davis is our online student advisor, especially if you're working in this program. I know a lot of the students work pretty closely with Brianna, so you get to know her quite well, and she is a wonderful resource. Can't say enough good things. And then we also have Sangeetha Gopalakrishnan, the Assistant Dean for Online Learning and Innovation, who is here today in the chat. So if she's answering some of your questions, you can trust what she is saying as well. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Lynn, who's staff here in the College of Education, briefly, and she'll do some other introductions and share a bit about the program. And then I'll be back to talk about admissions and some information.
Thanks, Tori. And I just have to remember to unmute. Welcome, everyone. We are here to talk today about the Masters in Education with a trauma-informed practice and pedagogy concentration on that master's degree. And just a general overview of the program, our goal as a program is for our students to realize the incidents and impacts of trauma, both individual trauma and systemic trauma, and how we as professionals can respond to and contribute to eliminating or just mitigating the sources and impacts of that trauma. I am the director. I am Dr. Lynn Burdick, the director of Trauma-Informed Education. This is what I refer to as our TIP team. And the next member is Dr. Catherine Kaur, who's an associate professor in special education, and her research focus centers around trauma and early childhood. Dr. Mia Chutzik is with us today. She is also on the TIP team, and she is integral, critical in program design, instruction, and research on our program. So the way that this program works is the courses are 8 weeks long, with the exception of one current elective, which is a 16-week course. And the courses are structured in over a semester in part of term A, the first half of the semester, and part of term B, the second half of a semester. The 16-week elective course we have runs both of those terms in spring, so spring A and spring B. Most of the classes that you do in this master's degree have a weekly synchronous session that are on weekday evenings and are usually 3 hours long. I will tell you that all of our trauma courses have that synchronous component to it. There are also asynchronous assignments and maybe group meetings over the course of the week. We find the best results when you are with us. So we say attendance is expected to yield the best learning outcomes for students. We've designed the program so that it can be completed in 5 terms. Entering at any of the admissions points for online programs looks a little bit different depending on where you enter, just based on the fact that the trauma courses are sequenced specifically. But we can make it work for entry at all 6 of the admission points. This is an education master's degree, and therefore it's 32 hours, a minimum of coursework. The way that those hours are divided is there are 9 total courses. 2 are what we refer to as foundations courses, and that's consistent across all the education master's degree. At least one of those foundations courses has to be outside of curriculum and instruction. There are currently 3 required trauma courses, and those are the ones that I said were sequenced specifically. So those are our core required courses. And then you take an additional 4 elective courses, and among those courses are opportunities to take additional trauma courses. The requirements of the education master's degree, again, TIP and other Ed Masters programs, are that you must have 12 hours of coursework at 500 level. You can take some 400 level courses, but at least 12 of your credits need to be at the 500 level. Typically, the time limit on a master's degree is 5 years from the time that you first register as a degree-seeking student in the master's program. We have had individuals express interest and participate in our programs, looking for additional information to help them as trauma-informed educators, social workers, program coordinators, child advocates, mental health professionals, professional development trainers, policymakers, researchers, and nonprofit folks. I do want to make very clear that this is not a licensure preparation program. It will not provide you with an Illinois professional educator license, social worker license, or a license for a mental health professional. This is to provide additional information to enhance your skills in these areas of work that have so much involvement with kids that have experienced trauma. We have a couple of other opportunities for information and experiences in trauma-informed education that I just want to briefly go over. We have a MOOC, that acronym, if you're not familiar with it, is a massive open online course. It's delivered through Coursera, and we'll look at it a bit more in just a second. But this would be about 8 hours of asynchronous content that is delivered. You can do it at your own pace. It's for anyone who would be interested in more information about trauma. There is no cost unless you need a certificate of completion for your job, or if you just want it personally, and then there's a $49 cost to get that optional certificate, and professional development hours are also available. But you can take it free if you want to, again, online and self-paced. Similar to the MOOC, and I was hoping to be able to tell you it was out, but it is almost out. A micro credential, which is an Illinois State Board of Education credential that actually appears on a professional educator license as additional training in trauma-informed education. This is also online and self-paced. It's about 30 hours of content, and there are some parts that are specific to a grade band that you might be working with. So if you're working with adolescents, you would get some content specific to kids in that during kids that are that age. It is currently, we're working on whether there's going to be a cost. It is my hope that if there is, it's minimal, but it is online and self-paced as well. The next option is a certificate of study. Currently, it is a series of courses that are taken by non-degree seeking students. It's 4 courses. It is 2 years, and the credits are, it is a credit bearing program. So the cost is the $538 per credit hour, and it can be done with 12 to 14 credits. Those courses are synchronous and they are online. And then finally, the concentration that we're talking about today. And I don't think there's anything new on that slide about the masters, so we can move to the next slide if you would. We just hit 1,000 users on our MOOC, so we sort of wanted to do a little shout out and a feature of the trauma-informed pedagogy MOOC. It is, again, you just sign up through Coursera. There are no credits. It's self-paced. You can do it anytime you want. You can work through it as it's convenient for you. There's a link on this slide that'll take you to that MOOC. The course, just so that you know, doesn't transfer into the program. So, but it would be a good way for you to get a taste of the content to see if this is something that you're interested in pursuing. And I think that is me, right, Tori? I'm going to turn it over to you.
Back over to me. So for admissions, admissions are through the graduate college application. The program does make application decisions in conjunction with the graduate program. The graduate program approves the decision based on campus requirements in conjunction with the department. So the department reviews things, makes that recommendation by the graduate college, and then the graduate college does another review, and then your application is either hopefully approved. You can apply right now at choose.illinois.edu/apply. Applications are open already for fall, even future terms if you're not potentially ready to start this fall. Speaking about that, we have application deadlines for fall. So if you wanted to start in part of term A, that deadline is July 15th, and courses for that start in late August. And then fall B is September 15, and courses for that start in October. So you can start at either of those 2 times. We know a lot of people like to start at the beginning of fall, so July 15th is probably the most important date for most of you. And again, you can apply online at choose.illinois.edu/apply. Do want to just do a shout out that GRE scores are not required for this program. Also, if you have questions, again, you can email us. You can also visit our website, which is listed here. And then we also have a chat bot that's available 24/7 to answer some of those information that maybe you can't find on our website and things like that about the program. Do want to let people know that tuition and student financial aid, this program is financial aid eligible. We recommend, if you have questions about financial aid, we'll need to direct you to the financial aid office. Their number is 217-333-0100 or finaid@illinois.edu. Tuition is set to be $538 for this fall. Tuition can change from time to time. Typically only changes at the beginning of the fall semester, but that information is always online as well. We really are excited that you are considering this program, excited for those of you who have joined us, excited about those of you who are watching this back later in the future. We are a top-tier research institution here at the University of Illinois. We're currently ranked number 3 by U.S. News and World Report for our online master's degrees programs, which this is a part of. We have world-class faculty. We have one here with us today. Dr. Mia is great. We also, our program highly focuses on online student engagement as its focus and core of the program. We have peers with backgrounds from all over the world. This program, a lot of students in the Midwest, some students are out on the coast and things like that. But if you're taking elective courses and things like that, you would encounter many of our online students, which stretch all around the world. We also have lots of resources for our online students, including online Student Resource Hub. You also have access to the university library, even as an online student. And even if you live out of state or are traveling, you can have books mailed to you from the library, which is pretty great. We really hope that you consider applying for the program. Again, you can apply at education.illinois.edu/online to get that information about the program. And now we should have plenty of time for Q&A for folks. So if you have any questions, I see some that were answered in the chat. And again, if you have questions, you can email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, and we are happy to work with you. We do have a question here. Is content geared towards curriculum for youth, or does it take into consideration adult learning?
The content that we're delivering is how to support youth who are experiencing trauma. It does not talk about work with adults after the K-12 system, pre-K to 12 system, sorry. Mia, do you have resources for trauma and adult learning?
I can put some book titles in the chat that talk about like higher education specifically. I'm not sure of any that aren't like education focused, but I'll share those in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we did have a question in the chat just for those that cannot see the chat because you're watching the recording back later. If folks are interested in learning more about the microcredential, you can email either us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu and we will redirect you to Lynn, or you can reach Lynn at lburdick@illinois.edu and we can get you added to the list for notifications.
And Chelsea, I sort of want to back off my answer just a bit after listening to Mia. We apply these principles, these trauma-informed practices and principles as we're working with the adults in this program. So, and when we're working with the undergraduates and integrating this content into higher education, into the undergraduate program for teachers, we are balancing, aligning, using both trauma-informed practices that are relevant to higher ed classrooms, as well as the ones that they should and can be using as they're working with pre-K to 12 students. But when I say it wasn't aligned to adult learning, I mean, we're not talking about ways that you, other than the general principles, ways that you would work with a group of adults that met together in the evening to learn about this topic. So it's sort of a yes, no, because that's much similar to how we would approach you as higher ed students.
Yeah, the reason I asked is I work for Extension and we, do educational programs out in the community. And a lot of times some of our topics do touch on areas that, might be an area that people have trauma in, food, health, family topics. So we're seeing more and more trying to prepare our educators out in the communities how to be more prepared when they cross that, or when they have that in a program, not to cause trauma first, do no harm, absolutely, but then also, right, how to handle if somebody, you know, has a moment that something stirs something up. And so I'm trying to think of how to prepare our educators better, or how to think about that when we're developing programs. But, you know, obviously our youth educators are working with youth, but a lot of our educators are out working with adults. So,
Sure. And there are overarching principles that
mhm,
just look a little bit different
mhm,
depending on the age group. For example, if you're talking about, I mean, the critical one is building relationships. So if you're working with little ones, they want to attach to adults. You start
yeah,
getting into adolescence and high school, and that a peer relationship is more important. So we would talk about those things differently based on the age that that we're working with and the developmental levels. Those are certainly the same concepts when you're talking about working with adults. They still
mhm,
need to build relationships. It's just going to look different.
yeah,
So, in that way, yes. And we would certainly be willing to talk to you about how to help with extension,
mhm,
and how we might be able to fit this in. I think it'd be a great partnership. But the program itself is not designed to learn how specifically to support adults who have experienced trauma.
yeah. I appreciate that. I might reach out to you guys for maybe as a speaker for professional development or something. So
You bet. We'd be happy
thank
to do
you.
that. Yep.
Thank you.
We've spent some time going into some schools as well, trying to help. Um, it's so much better if it's a system. So if we're able to reach multiple teachers in a district, that's so helpful to the kids who are going through grade level by grade level. And it's going to be so much better if everyone is trauma informed. So we have started going into schools to do professional development as well. So I think it'd work well, Chelsea. Just let us know what we can do.
I did get a question sent to me. What are some of the required course titles or topics that are covered in the program? Could some more be shared about that?
Mia, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so the first required trauma class you'll take is CI 455, Fundamentals of Trauma-Informed Education. And this is where we go over like an overview of trauma and how it impacts student learning. We will talk about practices used in schools that are maybe not trauma-informed and how you can shift them to be more trauma-informed. It's a lot of like reflecting on practices or on your school and what can be done differently and what's currently going well to support students. And then building off of that is CI 456, which is a classroom structures class. And there we think more about, you know, if you were to set up like a classroom management system, how would you make that trauma informed from the start? So we talk about how you support students' behavior, how you can make like classroom rules and policies that are trauma informed, how you can build relationships in a trauma informed way. And then the third specific required trauma class right now is SPED 525, which is a trauma seminar. And in that class, we read a book. So it's kind of like book club based. And then it's also a lot of small group discussions where you're talking about, we call them salient situations. So you'll come to class with something you're struggling with related to trauma in your classroom or what you want to talk about. And then you work with your group mates and with the whole class and think about what can be done. And you take some time to implement it and try it out and bring it back to the class. So they're all very collaborative and like group work based, but SPED 525 more so is a lot of small group work. So you're really getting to know your group mates and trying out the things you've been learning about in the program in your class.
We're also doing some expansion of some courses that we're putting through the approval process currently. So we're not listing them yet because they're not approved yet, but more information on restorative practices and restorative justice. Information specifically on behavior. It's a huge topic, the biggest reason teachers leave classrooms. So a course designed specifically for behavior, and then a capstone course where we're hoping to have our participants create professional development opportunities for their peers so that we can spread this word exponentially. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Again, those are in the approval process, but those would be expanded to be additional electives. They would not be added to the required course list. So it won't change the requirements, just the options. And Mia's references were mostly to classroom, and I would say that this is an education-focused degree, a classroom-focused degree, but we do have folks that, as long as you have access to a set of learners, so a social worker working with an individual or a small group, advocates working with, you have to be able to access at least one child so that you can be using these trauma-informed practices. And I should say child, adolescent, probably we could get away with an adult, have to be able to try these practices. So again, while we talk about it in terms of classrooms, there are participants that are not in classrooms and are getting this information to apply to their current situation.
Thank you for that. Lots of good information. It's also nice to know what's going to be happening in the future of the program, things like that too. So great information. Any other questions from folks? Did do a quick poll. Thanks for those that gave us that feedback on the session. And again, if you have any questions that don't get answered or you're watching this back later, you can reach us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu and we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for all of you for coming, and Tori, thank you for getting this ready.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thanks to everybody who is watching this back later or wasn't able to attend and got this recording. So we hope to see your applications for fall. We've already had some of them come in already, a good number of them. So that is always exciting to see, but we would love to see even more and would love to welcome you in to the U of I family. So we hope that you consider applying. Thank you, everyone. With that, I think we will call it a wrap. Have a great day.